Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister of Agriculture. What steps has the government recently taken to further primary sector innovation?
The Honourable David Carter.
Mr Speaker, yesterday I was delighted to announce 3 successful funding bids under the government's Primary Growth Partnership. These 3 bids will collectively see $45 million invested in primary sector innovation projects and will add significant value to the New Zealand economy.
Sandra Goudie.
To the Minister, what type of work will be funded under these projects?
The Honourable David Carter.
Mr Speaker, the successful projects fund a diverse range of work, including a major supply chain program to expand the production of merino fine wool, a program to develop better harvesting technologies for forestry on steep country, and a project to develop bird deterrent grasses. These projects are just the beginning, and we can expect a number of further significant announcements around PGP in coming months.
Mr Speaker.
David Shearer.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Why won't he offer an apology to scientists and businesses who have waited almost 20 months for funding after he cut the $700 million out of the Fast Forward Fund, and when KPMG has warned that it could be only 5 years before we lose our competitive advantage in agriculture?
The Honourable David Carter.
Mr Speaker, the member who asked the question is the one that should be apologising to scientists. They developed a fund for $700 million and never received a single application for it. It was a figment of the Labor member's imagination, an absolute fantasy of an idea.
The Honourable Damien O'Connor.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, what real commitment does the government have to research and development in the primary sector when it has cut over $20 million from the Primary Growth Partnership in this year's budget?
The Honourable David Carter.
Mr Speaker, the government has made no cuts to the Primary Growth Partnership. We currently have $320 million of projects submitted to PGP. We have $160 million worth of projects under active investigation, and as announced today, $20 million has been approved. No cutting.
John Biscone.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker, to the Minister of Agriculture. What does he say to farmers, National Party members and rural women of New Zealand who say that the best way for the government to further primary sector innovation is to defer the emissions trading scheme that is imposing such costs and uncertainty when no other country on the planet is putting their farmers through it?
The Honourable David Carter.
I always speak in a very friendly tone to rural women, federated farmers and the farmers in New Zealand. It is a bit difficult for them to now ask us to defer the emissions trading scheme when the member should realise it started on 1 January 2008 under the previous legislation. Deferral is now simply not an option.
The Honourable Damien O'Connor.
Mr Speaker, is it not true that Budget 2009-2010 had a total of $190 million in the Primary Growth Partnership's 4-year appropriation, and Budget 2010-2011 has just $169 million in the Primary Growth Partnership 4-year appropriation, Mr Speaker, and that equates to me of a cut of over $20 million.
The Honourable David Carter.
Mr Speaker, I take this opportunity of again assuring the Minister there is absolutely no cut at all to the Primary Growth Partnership funding, and I'm happy to take that member through the budget documents so that he can better understand them.
The Honourable John Biscone.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Does he stand by his statement in respect of spurring primary sector innovation to Dairy New Zealand Farmers Forum on the 5th of May that the emissions trading scheme will cost only 2.5 cents per kilogramme of milk solids in 2015? If not, why not? And what is the correct figure?
The Honourable
Mr.
David
Speaker.
Carter.
Yes.
The Honourable Damien O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What assurances can he give to small, innovative primary sector research groups that their primary growth partnership funding applications will be fairly assessed when in the first round of grants allocated and just announced by the Minister, $15 million of the $20 million went to Merino New Zealand, whose CEO sat on the advisory panel dishing out the money?
The Honourable David Carter.
Mr. Speaker, I can assure the member that every application put before the Primary Growth Partnership will be well considered by the Investment Advisory Panel. I'm aware that in the case of New Zealand Merino, Mr Brackenridge stood to one side and took no part in any discussions on the application from his company. And at the end of the day, the decision as to who dishes out the money is not the Investment Advisory Panel, and it is not me as the Minister of Agriculture. It is in the hands of the Director-General himself.
Point of order, John Boscawen.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. I seek leave to table with the House the current issue of the National Farming Review, the photograph of the Minister of Agriculture protesting against Labour's fart tax on the front page.
Order. Leave us sought to table that document. Is there any objection? Sorry? There's no objection? I beg your pardon, there is objection. There is objection.
Point of order, Mr.
Point
Speaker.
of order, John Boscawen.
I seek leave to table with the House a statement from Liz Evans, Vice President of Rural Women of New Zealand, released yesterday, calling on the government to delay the implementation of the emissions trading scheme.
Leave us sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is objection.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
John Boscawen, point of order.
I seek leave to table a copy of David Carter's speech to the Dairy New Zealand Farmers Forum when he quotes a cost for milk solids.
Order. I've been reasonably patient on these seeking leave of the House, but this speech is readily available to all members. It's not as if the House does not have access to that information. Question number 10, Darian.